Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little different, but it might also be the one that hits the deepest. I want to talk about 5 habits that completely shifted the way I think, habits that made me think like a CEO. And I don't mean that in the cliche rise and grind type of way. I'm talking about a genuine transformation in the way I see challenges, make decisions, structure my life, and approach growth. Now let me say this from the start. I wasn't born with this mindset. I didn't wake up one day magically thinking like a visionary leader. This came from years of experience, tons of mistakes, mentors, long nights of doubt, and moments where I seriously questioned what I was doing with my life. But I kept noticing that the most successful people, those who actually build something that lasts, don't think the same way as the average person. And eventually I realized I needed to rewire my brain if I wanted to operate on that level. These 5 habits aren't hacks, they're mindset shifts. And if you apply them, I truly believe they can change how you approach your life, your goals, and your future. The first habit that changed my trajectory was learning to think in systems, not tasks. For years, I operated on what I call survival mode. Wake up, look at my phone, and immediately start reacting. Emails, texts, notifications. I'd make a to-do list every day and check off as many boxes as I could. At the end of the day, I was tired, but somehow still behind. Then I heard someone say this: tasks are for employees, systems are for builders. CEOs don't wake up thinking about the 17 tiny things they need to do. They think about how things run, how to make a process repeatable, how to remove themselves from the equation while still producing results. So I started asking myself every time I did something more than once, how can I systemize this? Whether it was content creation, onboarding new clients, managing my calendar, or tracking my finances, I started building simple, repeatable systems. And I'm not talking about crazy automation at first. I just started writing down the steps, making templates, recording screen tutorials for myself, creating checklists. Eventually, those systems turned into workflows. Those workflows turned into delegation, and that delegation gave me back time. That's when I really started to scale. When you stop doing the same thing every day and instead build a system around it, you move from operator to architect. That's what CEOs do. They design businesses. They design outcomes. The second habit, and this one was hard to swallow, was taking radical ownership of everything. And I mean everything. The results I had, the money I didn't have, the health I neglected, the toxic people I kept around, the lack of progress, all of it. It's easy to blame outside factors. In fact, it's almost natural. We say things like, well, I didn't have the right support, or the market changed, or people just didn't understand my vision. But here's the truth. Blame feels good in the short term. It lets you escape accountability, but it also steals your power. CEOs can't afford that luxury. If something goes wrong, they own it, even if it wasn't directly their fault. Why? Because ownership is the foundation of leadership. You can't lead something you don't fully take responsibility for. So I started changing my language. Instead of "they messed this up," I'd say, "I didn't communicate clearly." Instead of "that opportunity never came," I'd say, "I didn't create the opportunity." And instead of "I'm just not lucky," I started saying, "I'm not prepared yet." This habit wasn't just about business. It made me a better friend, a better partner, a better thinker. When you take ownership, you stop waiting for external permission. You stop needing validation. You become proactive instead of reactive. That's CEO thinking. That's how leaders are built. Now let's talk about the third habit, learning to say no. I used to be a chronic yes person. Every request, every project, every event, I said yes. I didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And I convinced myself that more opportunities meant more growth. But the opposite happened. I was drained, overbooked, doing things halfway and constantly behind. One day I heard this line that stuck with me. If you don't prioritize your time, someone else will. And wow, because I realized by saying yes to everything, I was saying no to the things that mattered. No to focus, no to deep work, no to creative space, no to myself. So I started protecting my calendar, like my life depended on it. I created rules. If an opportunity didn't align with my long-term goals, it was a no. If a meeting didn't have a clear purpose or agenda, no. If a project felt heavy just thinking about it, it was a no, even if it paid well. And here's the wild part. When I started saying no more often, the right things started showing up. The aligned clients, the meaningful collaborations, the ideas worth pursuing. Because now I had the space to see. That's what CEOs do. They guard their time like it's their most valuable asset. The fourth habit is something I call zooming out, to zoom in. Most of us live life zoomed in. We're focused on today, this week, this bill, this deadline. But CEOs live with one foot in the future. They're always thinking in terms of quarters, years, decades. And that perspective shift, it changes everything. I started doing something I now call vision sessions. With myself every Sunday, I zoom out. I look at my year, my 5-year goals, where I want to be in 10, I reverse engineer backward. I ask, what would the future version of me prioritize this week? But now I'm making decisions with direction. This habit made me stop chasing shiny objects. It made me pause before jumping into things. It made me think about return on energy, not just return on investment. CEOs know that just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's important. Zooming out gives you clarity. Zooming in gives you focus. The magic is knowing when to do what. And finally, the 5th habit, leveling up my circle. This one might be the most powerful. Because here's the truth. You can have the best ideas, the best intentions, the most discipline in the world. But if you're constantly around people who think small, who fear change, who settle, you'll eventually do the same. Energy is contagious. I used to be in rooms where I was the one pushing everyone else. I thought that was leadership. But over time, I realized I was pouring out, but not getting poured into. So I started seeking out different rooms, places where people were thinking bigger than me. People building business, people making bold moves, people investing in themselves, in their health, in their legacy. Sometimes I paid to be in those rooms. Sometimes I networked intentionally. Sometimes I just started consuming better content, books, podcasts, mentors online. And slowly my language changed. My standards rose, my goals evolved. CEOs don't grow in isolation. They build teams, councils, and communities that challenge them. So ask yourself, who's in your circle? Who are you listening to every day? Are they feeding your fear or fueling your future? Because proximity is power. The people around you shape your vision more than you realize. And here's the thing. These 5 habits didn't change my life overnight, but they planted seeds. Seeds that grew into discipline, structure, purpose, and clarity. Seeds that allowed me to stop reacting to life and start leading it. Thinking like a CEO isn't about having a company or a corner office. It's about how you show up to your own life. It's how you handle challenges. It's how you think through decisions. It's the lens through which you see obstacles. And watch how your thinking starts to evolve. Let me know in the comments which habit you're gonna start with. I read every comment and I love seeing how this kind of content helps you not just feel inspired, but if this resonated with you, hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't yet, subscribe so you don't miss future videos.